Digimon Pokemon, two franchises needlessly pitted against each other.
Oh, Digimon copied Pokemon.
No, it didn't.
Pokemon anime is made Digimon solos.
That was true for a little bit, but not so much these days. Can't we all just get along?
No.
Oh, Brandon, you good, buddy?
I'm fine.
Are you mad that I made Pokemon videos without you?
And that you missed our collab anniversary.
Listen, I'm sorry, okay? I can change. Pokemon and Digimon, fandoms pitted against each other, but not until we set aside our differences did I see the true power that they all share deep inside.
All right, Mewtwo, quit your yapping. Let's just put the past behind us and talk about 10 Digimon and Pokemon with the same origin.
Absolutely. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to another video! And yes, today, Brandon from Pragmagic and I are going to be talking about 10 Pokemon and Digimon, or well, 10 groups of Pokemon and Digimon that share the same real world or mythological origin. And we're trying to talk specifically about picks that have something a little bit more interesting to them. Well, it's perfectly fine to be like, oh, this Digimon's a zebra and so is this Pokemon, this Digimon's a fish and this Pokemon's a fish. We more so wanted to look into interesting bases that the monsters shared that you might never suspect or might never have heard of before, or if you have, hopefully give you something a little bit interesting to hear about those connections. And when you're done here, make sure you go check out Brandon's channel, where we'll be creating more armor digivolutions for Pokemon, this time from the Hoenn region.
We're gonna start with a bit of a softball, but one we're surprised never gets brought up in the endless, exhausting "this Digimon looks like a Pokemon" or "this Pokemon looks like a Digimon" take, Copymon and Ditto. Both are sort of blobby monsters that copy or clone other monsters in their franchises. Obviously, you all know that Ditto can use Transform, but Copymon was created for the Digimon Pendulum version 20th to copy Digimon specifically for the purposes of DNA or Jawgrass Digivolution. Ditto similarly is used to copy the appearance and traits of a Pokemon initially in Gen 1 to act as a sort of Moku gene, giving you the fun opportunity of mirror matches. But in Generation 2 onwards has become sort of a breeding titan. Either way you slice it though, Copymon and Ditto share a history as almost gimmickmon, monsters invented or utilized for the purpose of copying other monsters. While Copymon and Ditto have similar abilities and likely share cultural origins, Copymon as it is depicted in official art is also based on Copy-Paymon, an Opmon whose purpose was literally to copy and paste. The only official art of Copymon depicts it as pink too, but that's likely not actually reflective of the color it's supposed to be, and it's probably actually black and white, like a black and white photocopy and its predecessor Copy-Paymon. An extra funny note, however, is their names. Copy and Ditto mean very similar things, but on a further level, in Japan, Ditto is known as Metamon, coming from metamorphosis and monster, meaning in Japan, these two creatures both share the mon suffix, and with their shared purpose, could be closer cousins than you realize at first glance.
Monkeys! Or apes. Infernape and Gokumon are based on the same mythological basis. Can you guess? Yes, obviously they're both based on Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, whose tale, The Journey to the West, has been told and retold for generations. My first exposure to Sun Wukong was the TV show Monkey and its, let's just say, dodgy dub.
Certainly a monkey has learned some magic.
But Sun Wukong's other name is Sun Goku, which is why Goku is called Goku. Dragon Ball is basically a retelling of Journey to the West, and it's the entire reason the Saiyans have monkey tails and assume those big ape forms in Z and stuff. As you can tell, I am a Dragon Ball subject expert. I know all about Dragon Balls. Dragging these balls across your chin. This, I think, is one of the more well-known East Asian tales or origins among Western fans, but I'm still surprised how few people know Infernape is based on Sun Wukong, or indeed the amount of Digimon fans who go, Gokumon? Like Goku? Yes, that is why he's called Gokumon, just not Dragon Ball Goku, the original Son Goku. Son Goku is the basis for all these dudes, but I prefer the name Sun Wukong.
So, many English-speaking Digimon fans will know this guy as Tapirmon, getting its name from the animal, the tapir. And this same logic ended up being one Pokemon fans fell prey to as well, assuming Drowsy, Hypno, Muna, and Musharna are all tapirs too. But actually, all these monsters are based on the Baku, Japanese or even Chinese mythological creatures known as Dream Eaters. We see you, Kingdom Hearts fans, though they are specifically known for devouring nightmares. This is where Hypno's connection to sleep comes from and why Muna and Musharna are so connected to Unova's dream world. Though the common imagery of dreams in Japan are doubled down on with Muna and Musharna, who are also based on incense burners. Hypno, on the other hand, folds in some, less than savory mythological creatures with its child-snatching nature. Though, even Baku are said to devour good dreams if a child does not feed it with enough nightmares once it's summoned. Tapermon or Bakumon, however, explores a much less mystical side than the Pokemon, being a Baku-like Digimon that was generated from a medical computer for detecting brainwaves. It's great to see that these monsters are popular even outside of Japan, even though they're heavily Japanese mythology based.
Based on what? Next up is one that I'm hoping may genuinely surprise some of you. Nimble, Low Kicks, Sylphimon, Beetlemon, and Justymon. Yep, this one's for you, Kamen Rider fans. But yes, Low Kicks specifically, as well as Sylphimon, Beetlemon, Justymon, and a bunch of other Digimon, no doubt, are based on the popular series Kamen Rider. Unfortunately adapted in America as Masked Rider, which some of you might be more familiar with. Kamen Rider is a decades-long franchise derived from the first Kamen Rider, whose motif was that of a grasshopper. This is why Nimble itself is a grasshopper. Low Kicks also delivers powerful kicks as an homage to Kamen Rider because a Rider kick is one of the most famous moves in the franchise, though there is a Rider punch too. Sylphimon has a very Showa era styled Kamen Rider belt on, which I don't believe is an accident, especially as the future of Ken and Stingmon in the same season, 02, is pretty obviously intentionally a reference to another Toei show of the time, Kamen Rider Kuga, which relaunched the slightly dormant Kamen Rider franchise. Beetlemon definitely also resembles a Kamen Rider. He does have something of a Rider belt, and you can see this even clearer in concept art. Though at the time of Frontier's release in 2002, Beetle-based riders were actually slightly less common, with the most notable probably being Kamen Rider Stronger, which might mean in some ways Kamen Rider Gattack that appeared in Kamen Rider Kabuto 4 years after Frontier came out would actually consider Beetlemon its senpai. Lastly, Justymon is, yeah, he's the most Kamen Rider to ever Kamen Rider. With his Rider belt, changeable arms, just like the upgrade forms even Kamen Rider Kuga had, and Digimon X hugely reminding me of Kamen Rider Forze Fire States. Pokemon, not being a Toei property, has certainly been more coy with their Kamen Rider references over the years, but it feels good to see Low Kicks embrace it. In fact, this whole generation is really embracing tokusatsu, between Low Kicks, Excalibur basically being Godzilla, and the upcoming DLC featuring masks which are, yeah, they're literally the Toku masks for kids you see all over Japan. Nice.
Oh, you know how we love Banchos here. And Pangoro is basically the only Pokemon with direct links to a Bancho. Besides altered appearances of existing Pokemon like Picala's Pikachu, Boss, Bancho at its core means the leader of a group of delinquents. The trope in Japan has evolved in many ways to include archetypes and visuals you may be familiar with, such as Akira Kongo himself, Jotaro Kujo, and indeed, Bancho Leomon. Bancho Leomon leads a group of delinquent leaders, and Pangoro would fit right alongside him as its pre-evolution Pancham is on its way to becoming a delinquent. And as it only evolves into Pangoro when a Dark-type Pokemon is in the party, this definitely is indicative of that fall to delinquency. However, Pangoro still has its morals, as its Pokemon X Dex entry states, although it possesses a violent temperament, it won't put up with bullying, which is exactly the same as we see in the Bancho Digimon like Bancho Mamemon's reference book listing, which states, it similarly extends a hand to those Digimon who feel ill at ease with or isolated from the world. Also, the 5 Bancho Digimon don't have a panda amongst their ranks, so maybe Pangoro can go digital and join them.
Now this is one that might surprise some Digimon fans. I often see people, and I'm guilty of it too, referring to Marine Angemon as a heavenly angel. Wings, halo, the whole shtick. Because it would make sense that Marine Angemon would be related to Angemon, just like Marine Devimon is related to Devimon, but it's actually not that simple. Yes, Marine Angemon is a holy Digimon, but Marine Angemon, Manafi, and Fione are all actually based on the real-life animal, the Sea Angel, which, far from heavenly, are basically sea slugs. Though their appearance looks so cute and angelic, and that's why they got the name, Marine Angemon's reference book listing even specifically says, although it possesses the name Angemon, biologically it is actually of a completely different family from the Angemon species. But then goes on to elaborate it does have the same type of holy ring as Gatomon and Angewomon. Not at all confusing Digimon, thank you. Marine Angemon also predates Manafi by almost 8 years, so if you were holding on to the idea that all Digimon are copies or something, it's time to let it go, bud. Funnily enough though, this year Cathilamon was created, an evil version of Marine Angemon, and people often view Fione as the kind of useless version of Manafi, which makes me think that Cathilamon looks so evil and twisted because it got bullied about its older sister.
This one is for the Dark Souls fan. Mimicmon and Gimmighoul's chest form at first glance look like they have nothing in common, but they are both based on the fantasy trope of the Mimic. Not in a Ditto Copymon way, but in a Dungeons & Dragons way. The Mimic is a monster that started in D&D, but it's expanded to many JRPG titles and even Dark Souls. They usually appear to be a chest, potentially full of treasure, that lures the adventurer in, only to spring to life and attack them, as its true form often becomes super sticky, trapping their opponent in place while it beats them to death. Just like the Mimic, Gimmighoul is said to sit around in a chest waiting for people to try and steal its treasure, upon which it sucks the life force out of them. Mimikmon isn't a chest though, so what's up? Well, Mimikmon is actually based on a concept in real-life toy line in Digimon. These caged Digimon figures came out in the 90s and re-released in the 2020s, the same era as the Digimon Pendulum Z2 that Mimikmon debuted on. Mimikmon is supposed to evoke the cages Digimon were kept in. Yeah, this really isn't talked about, but cages were a big thing in Digimon. Even the original V-Pets were cages. Anyway, instead of a fun friend who definitely isn't being held against its will, when you go to check the Digimon cage, a Mimikmon may strike out instead. Normally, mimics are a bad thing, but like, if you're keeping your Digimon in cages, you probably deserve this anyway.
Sliding over, we have Raijinmon, Fujinmon, and Suijinmon, who are based on basically the exact same mythological basis as Landorus, Thundurus, and Tornadus. Yes, the Shinto god Raijin, the god of thunder, is Raijinmon and Thundurus, go figure. Fujin, the god of wind, is Fujinmon and Tornadus. And Suijinmon comes from Suijin, the god of water. Wait a minute. Yes, Landorus for some reason actually bucks the trend, and instead is a reference to Inari, the god of harvests. Bit annoying, I must admit, that 2 out of the 3 genie Pokemon are named after gods with Jin at the end of their name. You know, seeing as how they are genies. And actually, even Enamorus, who got added really recently, making the trio a quartet, is based on Ugajin, the god of fertility, which makes sense for her love theme, and has more thematic ties with Thundurus and Tornadus than Landorus does. So let's say 2/3 of the original genie trio share the same origin as the Shinto gods in Digimon. Interestingly though, the genie's Theron forms are based on a different Japanese and Chinese myth, the auspicious beasts. Tornadus represents the vermilion bird, Thundurus the azure dragon, Landorus the white tiger, and Enamorus added at the end the black tortoise, which is great because of Brandon's next group.
The penultimate monsters of shared origin feature very new Pokemon and very old Digimon. Fans of both Digimon and Pokemon got very excited when we saw the new Paldea legendary group was a foursome. That kind of foursome. We were on some sovereign levels of excitement. Yes, the treasures of ruin of Paldea and the Digimon sovereigns share a mythological basis, and in fact, if they were to meet, they would be fierce enemies. The treasures of ruin are based on the 4 perils: Kundun, Shangxi, Chaowu, and Taotie, who are the antagonists of the 4, or I guess 5, auspicious beasts. It really sets the brain worrying at the potential mashup possibilities. A clash of titans. It's also very interesting that Pokemon would pursue the 4 perils for its new group, as we do in fact have a reference to the 4 auspicious beasts in the Therian forms for the Gen 5 Genie, and I guess now 1 Gen 8 Genie. So this sets up the Treasures of Ruin as a rival group to the Genies, which is made all the more interesting considering their new member was added in the preceding game, Legends Arceus. And there's a lot of buzz about Gen 5 remakes at some point in the future. Regardless, it makes us wish we could see the treasures and the sovereigns face off, or at least what the Digimon interpretation of the 4 perils might look like, or even if Pokemon would revisit the auspicious beasts in brand new Pokemon, not just the Genies.
And our final set of Pokemon and Digimon for this video. Crazily, Yveltal, Xerneas, and Zygarde have the exact same origin as Velgamon, Lord Yggdrasil, and Nidhoggmon. This is because they all share a Norse origin. Hreisvelga is a Jotun in Norse mythology, portrayed as an eagle-shaped originator of the wind. And Yveltal and Velgamon, well, yeah, they're eagles, and Velgamon's name literally comes from Hreisvelga. The Vel in Yveltal probably comes from it too. Xerneas and Lord Yggdrasil, this one's weird, but Yggdrasil is the tree in Norse mythology, a gigantic ash tree connecting the 9 worlds. Xerneas is this tree you can see from its horns, those are also tree branches, and Yggdrasil is the Digimon version of the tree, I guess. He also kind of acts more like a mad god, but it's whatever. And then finally, Nidhoggmon and Zygarde. Yes, in Norse mythology, Nidhogg is a dragon or giant snake that gnaws at the root of the world tree, Yggdrasil. So picture Zygarde eating Xerneas or Nidhoggmon eating Yggdrasil. And I always really liked the Norse theming of the Kalos legendaries, even if maybe they should have been saved for more of a Scandinavian region, but I think it's even more fascinating when you see their Digimon counterparts. Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde are a great trio, but I just can't picture the Norse Digimon story, where Velgamon, Lord Yggdrasil, and Nidhoggmon are all key players. It would be fun though. And that's it, some fun connections between Pokemon and Digimon that you may have never seen before, or hopefully we're giving you more context to ones that you were sort of aware of. And hopefully you learned something new, even if it was something small, along the way. Thank you to my sovereigns, It's Elementary, ZDK14, and Jaemon, as well as everyone else you can see on screen right now for supporting this channel with their hard-earned money.
And if you're done learning and want to explore the creative side of this Pokemon Digimon goodness, head over to my channel now, where Karn and I will be exploring what if Hoenn Pokemon armor Digivolve, thanks to the wonderful Fungus Fakemon.
Do make sure you go check out Brandon Brandon's video is going to be a ton of fun. I love doing custom art Pokemon stuff with him. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time
when we go digital.
Bye-bye.